You ever wake up one morning and realize your life just turned into a bad sitcom, except the punchline is always at your expense? Yeah, that's pretty much how my year started. Picture this: a man minding his own cows, keeping to his patch of sun-baked Texas dirt, living quiet on land that's been in his family since before folks worried about Wi-Fi passwords or HOA rules. That's me, Clay Banner, by the way. Never cared for drama. Didn't look for trouble. And until recently, trouble sure as hell didn't come looking for me. But then again, trouble never knocks out here, right, crawls over the fence and pretends it owns the place. Let me back up a sec. This ranch, all 120 acres of stubborn limestone and sweat, remembers everything. Every hoof print, every broken bone, every storm that ever tried to blow down what we built. And now, it remembers the day the Homeowners Association from Clear Hill Acres decided their paperwork could outmuscle barbed wire. It started simple, too simple in hindsight. I put up a new fence. Not the kind you'd see in a magazine. Just a strong run of cedar posts, steel core, tight as you please, running along the north edge where Clear Hill Acres had started popping up like some skin rash on my old grazing land. I even wired up some cameras, solar power me own little invention plus, no trespassing, and smile, you're on camera signs every 10 feet. Anyone with eyes would know to keep out. Well, turns out folks with clipboards don't always have eyes. Or maybe they just see what they want. The first letter arrived crisp and official, like the governor himself was inviting me to a garden party. Some fella named Bradley Sloan, president of the Clear Hill Acres HOA. Never heard of him or the HOA. Apparently, my fence was aesthetic pollution or something, breaking Section 4.2 of the Neighborhood Covenant, and I had 30 days to tear it down. I laughed so hard, I about choked on my coffee. 30 days. Hell, they could have told me to move a mountain, and I'd have taken it more seriously. But I didn't reply. Thought it was some paperwork mix-up. Lord, was I wrong. 2 weeks later, a second letter came, this one fatter, all legal stationery and satellite maps with my land outlined in red, like I'd been marked for eviction. They were escalating, talking enforcement, public safety risks, community values, you name it. That one I answered, all right. Lined notebook paper, all caps, just to make sure it got their attention. I attached copies of my deed, county registration, the works. My land was never in their subdivision. Never would be. Signed it independent as hell. God bless Texas. I figured that'd shut 'em up. Turns out, some folks only understand boundaries when you electrify them. One afternoon, while I was up to my elbows fixing a busted valve down in the lower pasture, my phone buzzed emotion alert. Pulled up the camera feed, and sure enough, 2 guys in HOA polos, snapping pictures like they'd found Jimmy Hoffa buried in my soil. Then one started climbing the damn fence. Didn't say a word, just saved the footage. A couple days later, after a bad windstorm, I find the top wire snipped clean, like with bolt cutters, right under a no trespassing sign. Pulled the footage again. Same guy, crawling along like a possum, clipboard and all. So I did what any self-respecting rancher would. I called the sheriff. Officer Judson, good man, helped me round up strays before he watched the video, whistled, and said, "That's criminal trespass, Clay." Plain and simple. I wasn't angry yet. I'd faced worse cattle rustlers, wildfires, the works. But there was something sharp about this, a kind of insult you feel in your bones. The city pressing in, acting like their lawns mattered more than my land. But here's the thing: when someone shows up at my gate pretending to be law, I don't just answer. I finish it. After that, the letters kept coming every Tuesday like clockwork. Cream paper, glossy seals, words like hostile barrier and visual pollution. I started collecting them like baseball cards. The Real kicker came in the 4th letter. They claimed my fence was an electrically hazardous structure. Funny, since it wasn't even hot yet. That's when I knew this wasn't just ignorance, this was malice. So I took every deed, map, and love letter down to the county clerk. Roberta, God love her, her granddad, my granddad's horses scanned through everything and spun her monitor around. Clay, you ain't never been in their HOA. Their line's 40 feet south of your fence. She even laminated my map for me, told me to show him who's boss. I mailed it straight to Bradley Sloan with a sticky note. Stop trespassing. You're out of your jurisdiction. That should have been it. But it wasn't. A couple nights later, motion alert again, grainy footage. Some idiot in a hoodie and backpack, bolt cutters glinting in the moonlight. This time, I'd rig a little Surprizia die pack like the banks use, harmless but messy. Next morning, I found orange dye splattered all over the post. If they wanted war, I'd give them a battlefield. Officer Judson came out again. Same trespasser, same game, just more desperate. You going to war with the HOA, Clay? He asked. No, I said. I'm just reminding him where my line is. So I stopped playing defense. See, I learned a few tricks in the military defense without deterrence is just an invitation. Next week, I wired up a parametric livestock electrification system standard for cattle. Nothing crazy, but enough to make anyone hopping the fence think twice. Warning signs everywhere. 2 days later, I heard a yelp and some creative cussing out by the fence. Check the feed too, HOA guys in polos. One zapped himself trying to peek through the knothole. The other dropped his phone in the dirt. Later, Bradley Sloan shows up in a black SUV, sunglasses, slacks, and a leather folio thick enough to choke a horse. We need to talk, he says. You've created an unsafe environment for families and children. I sip my coffee and tell him it's a certified AG fence legal, state certified, not his business. My land's older than your bylaws, I say, and the only thing grandfathered in is me. His lips twitch. We're prepared to escalate. I smile. I've already filed 2 police reports. Want to see the clips? He doesn't. Then Twist a Fatia news van shows up, reporter eager as a beagle. Is it true the HOA tried to force you to remove your fence? He yells. It's true. I say for the camera, loud and clear. The segment airs that night. Farm fence sparks, suburban firestorm. They even show the footage of the HOA guy getting zapped. Didn't blur the scream, just his face. Thought that would cool things off. Instead, next week I get served official lawsuit, hand-delivered like I'm royalty. They're suing me for environmental hazard, public safety risk, aggressive rural deterrent. There's even a brochure-crying kid, cartoon lightning bolt, pure comedy. But I don't panic. I call Daniel Tor's old army buddy, now a property rights lawyer. He shows up with a cooler full of shiner and a stack of legal codes. We file a counterclaim trespass, property destruction, harassment, coercion. Daniel calls it rural racketeering. I like that. But then, plot twist, Bradley comes back. No lawyers, no folio, just him, sunglasses, and the scent of desperation. Wants to talk privately. In my barn, he gets all quiet, tries to sell me on letting a developer buy my northern strip. Name it Banner Estates. Leave a legacy. I just stare. You know, my granddad ran your dad off this land with a shotgun in '94 for saying the same thing. He chuckles, but he's rattled. The next day, Clear Hill's Facebook page runs a blog. Outdated agricultural properties are hurting Texas suburb growth. They blur my barn, call me a holdout. I laugh. Daniel files our counterclaim no with audio of Bradley's little deal. Then, the day of the hearing-packed courtroom, HOA board all crossed arms and stink eyes. Daniel calm, as ever with his battered thermos. The HOA's lawyer paints me as some electric fence madman. Daniel stands up, BOLO tie shining, and drops every bomb videos, audio, parcel maps showing my land was never in the HOA. Judge Hart Sharp as barbed wire reads the map, looks right at Bradley. You can't redraw boundaries because it suits your lawn preferences. The courtroom snickers. Then comes the footage HOA patrol cutting the wire, sneaking over the line. The audio Bradley offering hush money. The place goes dead silent. Judge rules in my favor $135,000 in damages, permanent injunction, and a public apology from the HOA. Bradley looks like he swallowed a live bee. Out front, reporters swarm. I tell them, sometimes you gotta electrify a fence to remind folks it's there. The fallout? Well, Clear Hill tried to apologize by sneaking a PDF onto their website at 2 a.m., but Channel 5 called them out. Board turns on Bradley. Homeowners demand re-election, and he resigns before they can vote him out. Meanwhile, neighbors I never met drop by some with pie, some just to say sorry. But the real surprise is a call from Harold Kim, a rancher 2 counties over fighting his own HOA nightmare. I invite him down, we walk my line, and I show him the fence, the cameras, the maps proof you don't have to roll over. By the end of that week, we've got the Fence Line Network ranchers helping ranchers, Daniel offering legal templates, Channel 5 running features, even the county commission beefing up land protections. Roberta at the clerk's office says she's never laminated so many deeds. As for Bradley, last I heard he tried selling neighborhood cohesion strategies to developers in Austin. No one bit. Word gets around when you get slapped down by a farmer with an electric fence. Now, when I drive past Clear Hill Acres, there's a little strip of grass-no sidewalk, just silence. Land that remembers. Every so often, folks honk as they pass. High schoolers ask if they can film the famous electric fence. Someone even left a little metal sign in my mailbox. We're not in your HOA. We're on our own land. Damn, near made me spit my coffee. With the settlement, we built a new barn. Nothing fancy, but it's ours, mine, and the fence line folks who pitched in. Sometimes Daniel swings by, tells me they're talking about us on zoning podcasts. Says we're anti-regulation subversives. I tell him put on a t-shirt. The news faded. The fence held. Life rolled on, cows, chores, the land doing what it always does. One morning, a little boy with his dad stopped at the fence. Is this the electric one, Daddy? I tip my hat. Don't worry, it's off right now. The kid stares like I'm some outlaw. Did you really zap a whole neighborhood? I laugh. Nah, Sony just reminded him where their neighborhood ends. That's what this was always about. Knowing your lines. Standing your ground. I fought for what was mine. Maybe it's not about the fence, or the cows, or even the money. Maybe it's just about legacy. They came at me with bylaws and brochures. I answered with steel, sweat, and the Texas property code. Let them pave the rest of the world if they want. This strip of dirt's mine, and it always will be. Now, I gotta ask, what would you do if someone tried to fence you out of your own life? Where's your line? Drop a comment. Tell me about a time you stood your ground, or maybe a time you wish you had. Justice ain't always pretty, but sometimes all it takes is one good fence and a little bit of stubborn.